Hey guys, Viper Mike here. So I'm back with another Blazer video. I'm working on this 1988 K5 square body Blazer. I'm putting an LS motor in it with a 4L80 transmission, keeping the factory transfer case in there. So in the last video, we kind of pulled the front end apart. This time I want to go underneath the truck. I want to pull the old transfer case out, the transmission out, disconnect everything, maybe pull the exhaust, and get the engine ready to remove. My main goal is to kind of figure out my speed sensor thing. I think I have to get an adapter and make the old transfer case speed sensor work. So I want to take it all apart and see what we're working with. So let's get going on the bottom and we'll start taking things apart. So the transfer case is out. Came out without too much trouble. It looks like it was out not too long ago. The guy did tell me that they had the transfer case rebuilt and it wasn't sealed onto the transmission very well. Obviously it was leaking a little bit. There was a bit of transmission fluid on the floor when the thing was sitting. And then when I pulled the transfer case off, I managed to make a giant mess, as I'm sure you guys saw. Transmission fluid everywhere, but I've cleaned it up now. So I'm thinking I'll probably take the transmission and the engine out together from the front. So I'm just going to go ahead and start undoing everything as much as I can. And that way I don't have to mess around with trying to take the transmission off separately down here. It'll be easier to just pull the whole assembly out from the front. So I'll undo on all the lines, I'll get the exhaust off the engine, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so I just tried test fitting the new motor in there, and it doesn't look like it's going to clear the stock cross member. So I thought I might be able to get away with the factory one, but it looks like I'll need the Off-Road Designs one after all. I've seen some guys online saying that they've been able to just use the factory cross member, but I don't know, maybe that's on a different year or whatever it may be, but bottom line is it's not going to clear mine. So I'm still waiting on the Off-Road Designs one. I ordered it almost 2 weeks ago now, and I think they still haven't even started making it. And also I tried these Amazon adapter plates, and they don't seem to really work either. I tried making the old clamshells fit to them, and it looks like the clamshell needs to be modified in order for it to fit. So I think what I'll do is I'll just order some other conversion mounts that are known to work, and go that route instead of trying to use these Amazon ones. So anyway, I kind of just wanted to try and test fit it and see if how far I can get, and turns out I wasn't able to get very far. So I'm just gonna pull it back out now, and then probably split the tranny off of it, because I need to do the oil pan gasket and all this other stuff that I want to do to it, and I just want to wash it and clean it up and stuff. So I mean, realistically I don't really need to pull the tranny off to do the oil pan, I don't think, so I might just leave it alone. I don't think there's any other reason for me to remove the transmission. So yeah, we'll just pull this thing back out and probably clean up and call it for the night. Alright, so I'm back to working on the Blazer. It's been a couple weeks since I've touched this thing. Been waiting on some parts to show up. I finally received a few parts so I can move forward on it. I've now gotten the Off-Road Designs cross member, got a different style of motor mounts that will hopefully work. I was trying to use the adapter plates with the factory clamshells before, and the clamshells didn't really want to bolt up to the adapter plates without modification, and I didn't really want to start grinding on them, so I figured I'd just get a different set of mounts. But first things first, I'm going to need to remove this factory cross member. There's a couple bolts that hold it in, and there's a couple rivets that need to get knocked out. So we've got these bolts here, we've got a rivet here, rivet there, and then there's a couple bolts inside this motor mount. So we'll start working on it, and I think the rivet on that side is going to need to get knocked out from below. We've got this vent line here for the front diff that needs to get unbolted, and then we'll figure out a new way to mount it onto the Off-Road Designs crossmember. The crossmember didn't come painted, so I just used some POR 15 paint on it. I just gave it its first coat, waiting for it to dry. Gonna give it another coat. In the meantime, we'll get this old factory crossmember out of the way. We've got some hard lines running along the frame here that we want to be mindful of. We don't want to damage them. We'll get, I think the hardest part of the whole thing is going to be getting these rivets out, but I've got my air chisel. I think that's the best way to get these things out. So let's give it a try, and hopefully it goes smooth. Alright, so got the old cross member out, put up a little bit of a fight getting these rivets out. Wasn't as easy as I thought it would be with a air hammer, but I had to unbolt this side on the driver's side, the motor mount, so I could get to the rivet underneath it. But otherwise it wasn't too bad. I was hoping I'd be able to just knock the rivets off with the air hammer. I ended up having to cut them with the grinder. But in any event, I got them out. So now what I'll do is I'll mount that side, the driver's side motor mount back up, and then we get the Off-Road Designs cross member in there and bolt it up and get our holes measured up that we need to cut. I think there's 3 holes that we need to drill. My only concern really is how I'm gonna get underneath here to drill the hole, because I've got this sway bar bolted in here, and obviously the leaf springs. So I think what I may have to do is lift this thing up a bit in the air and hopefully give myself enough clearance for the drill, because right now the drill won't fit in there for me to be able to drill the bolt holes. So in any event, let's get this motor mount back in, and we'll hopefully the paint's dry on that new cross member. We'll get it mocked up here. got the new cross member in. The kit came with just enough bolts. I had to reuse all the old ones that I took out, and got the new motor mounts mounted. Got the cross member all bolted in and torqued down. I had to loosen up the passenger side a bit to get it to line up, to get the holes to line up. Was a bit of a pain to drill the new holes, but I got them done. And yeah, now everything's in. So hopefully now I won't have any issues with the oil pan clearing. And so we're all done as far as the new cross member is concerned. It said it was supposed to come in the instructions. It talked about 5 3/8 bolts that it was supposed to come with. It only came with 1 and 2 3/8 nuts and 4 washers. So I have no idea what those were meant to be for, but I ended up using the 7/16 bolts on everything. Figured bigger bolts can't be any worse than a smaller bolt. So anyway, cross member is in. Next step is going to be to test fit the motor again, and then I'm gonna split the trans off the motor so I can do all the gaskets. I'm gonna do the rear main, oil pan gasket, and all that. And then once that's done, then we can put the transmission back on the motor and put everything in for good. And then at that point, hopefully my BP wiring harness will show up, and then I can wire everything. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.